Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Does This Offend You? Today, we overanalyze idioms, common phrases, expressions, cliches, what they mean to certain people, how they're interpreted, why some of them are complete bullshit, and why some of them are codes to live by. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.
What do I have to say to make some money? What do I have to say to make some money? No offense.
Welcome in, everybody, to episode 3. We're talking about common expressions. And Omid, let's get right into it. Give us one. Give us several. What do you like? What do you hate?
Well, I've been thinking about a few expressions, but I'm going to just go with a common one that we probably hear every day. And that one is, don't judge a book by its cover. I feel like I found myself in situations where I'm like, well, that's a bunch of horseshit. And then I find myself in situations where I'm just like, yeah, don't judge me. I mean, other people. It's not about me at all. But no, yeah, I just feel like these are cliches that people say all the time as if they're absolute truths. And I think that they're open to criticism. You know, like there's always special circumstances. And that's what I wanted to lead off with. You know, so starting with don't judge a book by its cover. I feel like the main point of this phrase is to prompt people to not make quick judgments based purely on appearance. It's more about the content of their character, as they say, right?
Yes.
And I think that's a very good value to have. But then you have to consider, why do we judge books by their cover? And I think there's a lot of societal pressure to do so, right? And I'm going to leave us with a second quote that is very significant in almost countering this one, but might also play in with it, is the suit makes the man, right? It's almost the antithesis of this quote. So, you know, I'm gonna let you guys hash this out, and then we can, you know, talk about our disagreements.
Okay. I'll
Thoughts, Vlad? Just kidding.
Oh, you cut me off. All right. Well, I'll go one further. If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, right? That old phrase.
I must be a Jew.
I don't know if that's how it ended, but you might be right. So
If
yeah.
the bill fits in his back pocket, that sneaky Jew.
Christ.
If his nose is longer than a beak, it might be a Jew.
Oh my God! Should we just tell them why you guys are making those jokes? Is that
No.
No, I want to get in trouble. This is the whole point of it.
Okay.
What the hell?
All right. Anyway.
Don't ruin the surprise, Danny. God. They can't tell already by looking at my face.
It's because my house was foreclosed by a Jew.
Oh. So you're just doing this because you're spiteful. That's why. Okay. So
My lawyer's Jewish. It's okay.
God damn. Try to get this podcast off the ground for once, please.
Or canceled.
Yeah, I think we just got canceled. So, but don't judge us by our cover. This is all just the cover. Yeah.
All right, continue with your point.
Yeah. So yeah, I find it funny that in society, and not just like contemporary society, like through history, throughout time, people always come up with phrases to kind of analyze their existence, and a lot of them are always like opposites, and it's very interesting to me that and they're easily just they're interchangeable too. People can just throw them out there depending on their mood or on their values, and people automatically resonate. It resonates with people, and there's no really like there's nothing tangible about these phrases. They just exist, and then people are like, oh yeah, I get it, for some reason or another. But yeah, don't judge a book by its cover is kind of an old one. It's a classic. I think you sometimes should, because like I never judge a person on anything else but their character. But the fact of the matter is, when you're walking down the street and you don't have a chance to, when you're passing by billions of people in your life, you're not going to have a chance to meet every single one and actually get to know them. So one of my favorite pastimes is to legitimately I make so many distinctions just looking at someone from like across the room or like on the street, and It's like one of my favorite things to do. Just like make up a whole backstory just based on like the little nuances of someone's character. So
I think that's called people watching.
people watching, well, yeah,
I think it's being a creeper.
or just judgment. Yeah, I mean, I do this on a daily basis. Like, I go out of my way to do this. No,
I sit in bark bench by myself and watch women walk by with their dogs, and I just like look at their ass and I'm like, I hate it.
I don't have a job. This is what I do. So I'm the one
For a living, you watch people.
Yeah.
No, but really, I don't know what it is about me, or if you do you guys feel the same way? Like you're quick to make judgments about people, like complete
No,
strangers.
and I think that was one of my main reasons for, these quotes that conflict with each other. And it's because, yeah, don't judge a book by its cover, but I think context is very important. Like, am I getting to know somebody or having to interact with this person for a long time? And if so, then yeah, I should probably get to know the person before I leave like a long lasting judgment. But let's say we're walking down the street, and this is where that other quote comes in. The suit makes the man. It's an important quote because I think it's letting you know that the way you present yourself in society is the way people are going to see you. So the way that you want to be presented is essentially the judgment that people are going to initially give you. Now, I'm not saying you should judge people initially, but it's be prepared to be judged based on those parameters. And, if I see someone walking down the street wearing a suit versus someone that's wearing a beat up sweatshirt and sweats and, sandals, I'm going to have two completely different judgments of who these people are. Maybe the person wearing sweats is super rich and doesn't give a fuck. I should talk to them and get to know them. Maybe the person wearing the business suit is some poor dude that only has that one suit. They wash it 20 times a week because they have so many job interviews and they can't land a job. I don't know. But, we don't, without that backstory, we're just going to assume the person with the suit is going to be the one that has a job and is successful. Person in sweats is just some bum.
So I think that with your note that you just brought up, I think the very most important part about all that would be how you react to those two people if you saw them. If you treat them both the same way, or like, yeah, you're a bum or you're rich, cool, and just approach them just to talk because you want to get to know them equally, that's fine. If you were like, oh my god, that's a rich dude, I should go talk to this rich dude, maybe we can become friends and I get some benefits, that's a different story. So, and if you were just to go and see that the guy who's not wealthy in your opinion, just make fun of him for it, again, it depends on how you approach them and how you treat each one. That would be the more important takeaway in that kind of situation. But yeah, continue with your point. Just want to put that in there. So with me and my wonderful personalities, we all know I do have one. I feel like judging people is a very necessary thing to do, and people might not agree with me and unlike me for that, and I don't really care. But I think it's a survival tactic. I think that we as humans living in society have been through enough shit in our lives to kind of realize that sooner or later you gotta stop being so sweet and trusting with everybody and trying to be like, oh yeah, let me just like not run my instincts by myself and analyze you. But I feel like a lot of people when they're younger especially are very much like, yeah, we gotta be like open to everybody and accepting and all this shit, and then after a few times of being screwed over they start to be like, yeah, people suck a lot. And at this point I think um it's uh sorry, I think at this point it's affordable for me to be like more on the fence with everyone that I meet and wanting to keep my distance and really see who I'm dealing with. I feel like most people only really want to come and deal with someone when there's a certain benefits. For a lot of women, I feel like they have to realize that a lot of guys mainly want to come talk to you if you're, well, attractive. If you're going to be a slob that shows up at a party hanging out there, chances are most guys won't want to talk to you. It's kind of human nature. We like pretty girls. We want to have the intent to reproduce. That's just kind of how it works. With in regards to guys and guys, well, a lot of guys, me particularly, I don't get along with most people. It's more of like, I guess, a territorial type of thing. I like my space and I like my group of people. I don't like newcomers. So if I see somebody that comes around that I don't know, especially if they're a little too friendly, it makes me go like, why are you being so nice? I'm not really stepping up to really talk to you or get to know you. So why are you so interested in getting to know me? And that's how I judge you. Your actions, your approach, the way you dress, the way you talk, who you talk to, how you talk to them, all that stuff. I analyze you from the get-go because I want to make sure that you're okay. And yeah, my gut has been in recent years of my life a lot more sharp and really like pinpoint accuracy on who to really be around, who not to be around. I don't know how you take that, but yeah.
Well, I think the important takeaway here I want to point out is just the fact that, you know, whenever we drop a quote like "Don't judge a book," it's usually the minority of situations. It's never the like always grandeur like "Don't judge anybody." It's always when you are probably surprised by something, and the surprises usually are a lot more rare than when you did predict something right. And as you said before, it's a survival mechanism. It's pattern recognition. You see
Yeah.
certain things, you associate them with certain behaviors because there's a reoccurring theme in either your life or any, you know, social situations. And you're just like, all right, I'm gonna put the person that represents themselves this way or whatever into this category. And it's just easier. It's survival.
And I agree with you. I definitely have had my encounter chances of like being surprised by certain people, whether it's men or women, and how I originally took to them being like, yeah, I'm not really comfortable with this, or they're problematic, or whatever. I've had my surprises. I will admit that. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, I've always been 100% right. That's not true. Sometimes you will have a bad read, and I'm the kind of person who can admit that. I've had friendships build with people because of the fact that I was surprised and was like, yeah, I guess I mistook them at first.
Um, may I interject here? Now, here's the part where we go down the rabbit hole, because now I'm about to dissect everything you just said, and we started with the one phrase, but here's where we are. Vlad, I don't know how you landed on the analogy of a girl at a party looking like a slob and guys don't want to talk to her. But I will
Some
say,
guys will talk to anything.
no. Well, here's the thing: any girl on her worst day will have a better chance than any guy on their best day.
Well, that's
I'm
yeah.
gonna
We're trying
throw
to
that
guys
out
like to
there.
get light.
Yeah, I don't exactly. So I don't know. That analogy doesn't really work for me because it's just simply not true. I don't know. If a girl's a slob, sometimes it's even an invitation for some guys if they look like a slob.
I
Like,
mean, I've seen some girls who have been pretty bad before not having
and
me
there
talk
was
to them. They're rare.
and there was always a guy who's like, I'm gonna hit that around you, and you know that that's true.
Not
They're
always.
just like, hey, have you seen that? Have you seen that? That dirty old bag. She's definitely down. Like they have like they're judging a book by its cover, exactly. And it could go the opposite. It's never like it's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be maybe they are like a complete garbage person, but maybe also.
1 second, sorry.
So when you judge a book by its cover, it's not even if it ends up starting as a negative connotation. Sometimes it can be painted the complete opposite. That's hence this sloppy girl, right? This hypothetical. Some guy looks at them like, oh, it's sloppy. I don't want to deal with that. But also someone else in the room is like, they're sloppy. I do want to deal with that. Like, it's weird how yeah. It's weird how the phrase changes from person to person. Don't judge a book by its cover. It's like,
The
well,
context is very important.
yeah.
And it's a very malleable quote.
exactly. And I also will say this. So now to switch over to what Omid said about the two guys, right? There's flip flops and sandals, bro, and then there's a 3-piece suit, Wall Street guy. Here's the thing: when you're judging those books by their cover, I'm gonna counter that with another idiom, which is the empty can rattles the most. Who's to say the guy wearing the 3-piece suit is just trying to live large, but it actually does nothing under the surface, right?
That was literally the point I made, pretty much.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying. That was the point you were making. I thought you were saying that maybe the guy with the 3-piece suit, the suit makes the man. He does lead a good life because that's how you're supposed to be judged by society.
The assumption is that he led the better life, but I was getting at that sometimes the person with the suit is probably looking for a job, and you don't know that's the only suit they own, and they've washed it like 20 times in the week. Versus the guy wearing the sweats is probably the lazy CEO of some tech company, and that's just how they are. You'll never know these days.
And my point was that is how you interact with those two. Each one, how you approach to conversate accordingly. The treatment manner, because again, you see somebody, it's how you react. You can be like, some people they see money, their jaw drops. Most Jews, they need to go and right away get honky dory and start making friends with them. Some ladies like to play the gold digger card, really want to finding that guy with lots of money, security, and all that stuff. Some people might be like very like anti-capitalist, man. Like they see a rich person, they need to make their scene very clearly known that, oh yeah, I don't like you because you exploit people, this and that. It varies.
Well, I think the point of the phrase "don't judge a book by its cover" is that you do not have the opportunity to meet somebody. That's the like you're taking.
You can always have an opportunity to meet somebody.
Yeah, but the judgment part comes before you do any of that. You're the judging the book by its hence the cover. That's the point of the phrase. So you're taking it a step further and saying that maybe you should go and like actually analyze these people, but like you don't get the chance like 90% of the time. Yeah, so
I mean, depends how good you are.
if I got $1 for every person I judged without actually like following up with them and finding out more about them, I wouldn't be here right now on this podcast. I'd be like somewhere overseas on my private jet. That's all I'm saying.
You would have already come back from Turkey.
That's true. Why is it got to be Turkey? So yeah,
the answer may shock you.
Yeah, find out next time. The old adage, don't judge a book by its cover, is under the assumption that you don't ever get a chance to read the book. Correct? Yeah.
Because you choose not to. You made that judgment call, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. You analyze them, you give them a quick glance over, like from far away, see how they behave. That's about it. You don't really get to talk to the person and get to know their personality.
That's still the cover, though. That's all I'm saying. You don't get the chance to actually.
But you're still analyzing.
Yeah, that's called judgment. That's what I'm saying. You're analyzing based on sensory input, but like from a distance, without any actual context on the person themselves. You're just looking at all these like outside factors. That's the
You're still judging. You're judging the book. You're judging the book by its cover.
So I don't see.
And I think that's fair. I think that works for some people. For me, it's worked.
Yeah, I like to always paint a picture of people. Sometimes it's one of my favorite pastimes. Omid and I have done it while we hang out, and I've done it with my girlfriend. Sometimes we always like I'll create like a 20-minute tangent of someone we just saw like across the street or something. I'm like, you see this, and then I'll just go off and we create like a backstory. And I don't know, it's kind of fun for me, and I like to believe that I'm right, but obviously you never know. Yeah, I mean, I'm a piece of shit like any human being. I'll make the judgments all the time without. And then I won't think about it after. I'm like, yep, that's what that person's like, and then I'll live my life, doop doop doop, and I'll just like. And the thing is, they're probably doing the same when they look at me, depending on what I'm wearing or what I look like. I don't know. I'm just used to that. That's just how people are. Judging books, judgment is like a thing. Yeah.
Which I think is where also the other quote definitely comes in handy. The suit makes the man. Where I think it is important though for people to present themselves in a favorable way. Like, you can't get mad if people judge you for whatever reason, because we're all doing it. It's just a reality of life. But now if you're upset with the way someone's judging you, it is definitely important to realize that present yourself better. I think there's another quote that I've heard before. I don't know if you guys have heard it before too, but it's pretty much like, dress every day as if you're about to meet the love of your life. Same thing, the suit makes the man. You want to be ready for any situation. You want to represent yourself to the best of your ability at all times, because you just never know when it's gonna benefit you. It's never gonna hurt you to just be ready. Luck is the combination of preparedness and opportunity.
Well, what if the love of your life is that sloppy girl Vlad was talking about? And you're the jackass sitting wearing the 3-piece suit, and you miss.
Hey man, if that's your thing and you're down for the sloppy girl, go for the sloppy girl.
Yeah, but
if you're sloppy, then avoid it. What can I tell you?
So then you're supposed to go out of your way to dress sloppy, even though it's not your style.
Well, the thing is, you dress the way you want to attract what you want, and if you're not attracted to that, why would you approach it to begin with?
The issue here is that you're essentially telling people you need to change. Let's say you are a sloppy person in general. You have low standards, and you're telling them you need to dress nice, and you need to, look more shui to go out there and make yourself more appealing looking. You're essentially telling that person your current state is not good enough, and you need to change yourself to bring good things your way.
I mean, hey man, you can jump from A to D all you want, but there's still a B and C there. I'm not saying you need to do whatever.
I forgot E.
If you want a certain result, you need to be prepared for that. Now, anybody can just jump from one to the other, no problem. Some people just get what's called lucky. But if you want to increase your odds at having a favorable outcome, be prepared, right? Make luck a higher probability for you by being prepared for said opportunities.
You know what phrase I really hate?
Huh?
You know what phrase I really hate? Is dress for the job you want, which is basically kind of what you just said. It's like they're the same.
I used to wear basketball jerseys throughout all of high school, and now look at me.
Now you wear scrubs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dude, I don't understand. Yeah, so yeah, just for the job you want, but also to counter that point is like you shouldn't care what anybody thinks. Is that a phrase or an idiom, or is that just like a common like I don't is that a common phrase? What do
I
you,
think it's just a common phrase. Don't care what they think, and it's very true.
Yeah.
Don't care what other people think.
yeah.
But if you do happen to care, there's steps to fixing that.
So fake everything around you, create a facade around yourself. Those are the steps you're suggesting.
AKA fake it till you make it.
Oh, there you go. Fake it till you make it. Now that I do appreciate on some level. Not the fact that I have to change my entire appearance to satisfy some lifestyle I want. I don't know. I'd rather earn the lifestyle by putting the work in, but that's a whole other topic.
But that fake it till you make it quote is is very interesting psychologically. Just the pure fact that if a human being were to smile, their attitude automatically improves. As from sad to happy, happy being the improvement. If you just smile, or if you're laughing, or if you hear other people laughing, you are automatically triggered to feel some type of way.
I disagree.
Or you're the Joker.
No, it's psychological.
I feel from experience with people who have had to deal with like depression stuff, you can make them laugh all you want, but it doesn't fix anything really.
Yeah, because the person who's really depressed is the one cracking them jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't know
But anyway,
anybody like that.
But the thing is, I'm not saying that you're gonna go to someone who just had their mom die and be like,
I'm not saying that extreme. I'm just saying in general. I'm not saying that extreme. I'm just saying person has like seasonal depression or something, or I don't know, they just have some chemical imbalance in their head. They're bipolar. I don't freaking know. Point being
oh,
is
a
that
chemical imbalance, that totally counts. Someone who's physically and physiologically incapable of certain things.
well, chemical imbalance means that your brain releases chemicals that adjust affect your mood swings and all that.
But psychologically, a person in society, if they just smile, I'm not saying everybody who's sad smile right now and you're going to be happy. People who smile, is mostly from indifference, from the middle ground. If you're smiling, you're faking that smile, it carries over into your attitude. Even when I see people on a daily basis, I'm never in the mood to constantly have to meet new people and introduce myself and whatever. But, I do it with a smile on my face. I have a good attitude about it, and it just carries over. At the end of the day, that's what I have to do, and I got to fake it till I make it.
If you're talking about strictly about mental health, then that's like everybody. Because I don't think anyone's really... There's like so very few people on this planet that are actually content and happy with their lives as a whole. Like, so you're just kind of... Every day is just basically putting a smile on. I don't know. I feel like everybody here is in that same boat.
If you're the kind of person who's at the point of their depression who starts to, actually just kind of adapt to it, and you start to not, have to put up that fakeness of like, oh yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine, guys.
No, but you do it every day. You don't have to like how many times, why we have this podcast sometimes, Vlad, is because we talk about stuff that frustrates us. You're not doing that on a daily basis though, right? You're not going to your job at asshole warehouse or whatever, as your shirt implies, and like just talking to customers like, why life sucks. Like, you're not just doing that on a daily basis. You're putting...
First off, asshole lives forever as a brand. I need to respect that, okay? There's a whole entire movement behind that. That's number one. Number two, what I'm saying is that you can go and express yourself where the hell you want. And some of us do express ourselves wherever we want, whether it's with people we know, we work with, whatever. But what I'm trying to say is some people really tried to hide their depression. Some people try to be like, yeah, I'm okay, I'm totally fine, we're good. And some people are like, yeah, I'm depressed.
You know
Cool.
what an important factor
Kill
to this whole
yourself.
thing is? It's the wanting to change. It's the wanting to be in a different state. If somebody wants to be depressed or wants to feel sad, you can't do jack shit about that. And that's a lot of, depression. A lot of people are in this kind of like negative reinforcement loop where they're constantly putting themselves down. Sorry, positive reinforcement loop where they're constantly putting themselves down and they're making it worse themselves. It's really hard to get out of that. It's fine. But there is that fake it till you make it aspect of it too, where whether you're faking it to yourself or faking it to other people around you, it doesn't make a difference. You got to make it a reality. Because at the end of the day, what is reality? Is it how other people perceive
What
you?
is love?
Yeah, or the other way around.
Why does it have to be a conversation about mental health? I love how we all went there. Well, not, I mean, someone who took us there. Vlad did, because he's,
Glad I try to take us out of it.
of course he went there. Yeah, why does fake it till you make it have to apply to mental health? I mean, that's a whole, we can do another podcast on just mental health. I don't want to dive too far down that rabbit hole, but
I mean, some people literally go crazy with trying to fake it until they make it. Some people try to like literally convince themselves, yeah, I'm wealthy, when they're in reality they're broke as shit.
Well, who are you trying to fake it to is the important part.
Their peers.
Yeah, but then I think for every rule in life, it has to be within your means. I know so many people that have gone flat broke, especially in Los Angeles, trying to keep up the appearance of having money, whether it be the big house, the
Do
new
you think
car.
that's a good thing?
No, it's a horrible
no one
thing.
said it was a good thing. We're just talking about a phrase. But yeah, some people, that's how it applies to them.
Yeah, they go crazy. They literally lose their very meaning, their well-being into this financially, mentally, whatnot, because they're trying to convince other people who literally probably have no real meaning to their life whatsoever that they matter on a status level. It's stupid.
Well, that's only if you care what other people think. But my point
lot of
was
people
fake it
do.
till you make it for yourself. That was the important one.
But you're faking it to make it for yourself so that you can fit in for the other people. You are essentially still doing it for other people.
No, that's not what he means. To me, fake it till you make it is more of a battle cry to like progressing yourself at any cost. That's how I
Yes.
that's how I interpret it. It's not faking your life. It's about doing things even if you're not entirely sure what you're doing, but still pushing forward despite that, despite your setbacks.
Right.
Even if it's immoral, you still want to try to your best to get ahead. That's how I interpret the phrase.
Yeah.
No way.
It's also a sense of like a false confidence, but that false confidence is going to do you a lot more good than the reality of, oh, I suck, I'm going to fail, I'm going to screw everything up. There's two different mindsets.
Confidence does not mean that you have confidence does not mean you have to fake anything. If you're confident, you're confident.
No, but sometimes you have to fake the confidence. Sometimes you have to just tell yourself, I am good enough. You have to show that to other people. I'm not saying I am rich enough. I'm going to show things outside my physical means, right? But I can at least fake an attitude. I can fake a mindset. I can fake a personality that allows me to accomplish a goal, that allows me to progress. I'm not saying look rich and blow your life away. That's too physical and too easy to break down. I'm saying on a personality level, on a communicative level, these are very important attributes. That the fake it till you make it is a tool that you use to move forward.
Exactly. You like anyone out there, this is like show of hands for people in this podcast and people watching. Who here has embellished their resume? Or at least gone to an interview, yeah, and like said something, just you bullshitted your way through an interview saying stuff that you know nothing about, or you know, that's the kind of mentality. And I know a lot of people do that just try to get an edge. They convince themselves and they convince other people that are directly impact their lives, you know, an employer, for instance, that they are good enough, right? And then they figure out the rest later as they go on. That's what I think the phrase is about. Do it like any means necessary is basically what it comes down to. Right?
I mean, that's another physical aspect of it, but sure. You know, like...
Well, how else am I going to apply it? Please, let's metaphysical.
That's a great way to put it. I'm not saying that you should lie on your resume.
No, I don't endorse that, but I know people have done that, and that's the exact situation where you'd fake it till you make it. Right? Yeah.
But also, I just wanted to focus the quote on yourself. You know, fake it till you make it. Give yourself that confidence. I'm not saying you're going to have it automatically, but also be aware of the tools you have. Humble yourself in not a manner of you're not good enough, but humble yourself in a manner of knowing your limitations and knowing how far you can push them, and allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to fail, if anything, but at least push forward.
I will say this. I agree with the aspect of you should push yourself to new heights. And getting out of your comfort zone, but also you have to do within means that you are able to handle it. I've had people who have done, as you guys have said, falsified their resume to get a job, and then once they actually get the job and have to work and they can't do anything, they sort of freak out and they fail and they have to quit or they get fired and it just spirals out of control.
Yeah.
That has happened. Some people are able to, fake it and get in the position to learn it as they go along and survive and really like actually pick up the skill, but it depends on you. If you're the kind of person who can be in that position where they can be, picked up in this different scenario and adapt quickly rather than sink.
Yeah, you see what you're made out of when you do stuff
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. Yeah,
But
it's
also know your limitations.
sure, but also that's a risky game. No one goes into it like thinking about limitations. They don't think, they're just like, I'll see what happens. I mean, that's the mentality when you say fake it till you make it. Anybody who adopts that like lifestyle is definitely playing, they're gambling, right?
So let's take extreme examples then, all right? I'm not gonna fake my resume so I can go become a heart surgeon right now because I know God nothing about doing that. But let's say I fake my resume so good and I happen to get the job. Yeah, of course I'm fucked. But if I'm faking my resume to be the manager of some company, it's not that hard to lead people. I feel like if in your lifetime you can draw back any experience of being a leader, whether it be the kid on the playground that chose which game everybody played every day, I feel like you can lead a bunch of people as long as you know what the tasks are. And you just got to be aware of, let's say this place hires me, they're probably going to show me their operations, and I just got to be savvy enough to know how to delegate, and boom, you're a manager.
Well, yeah, if you're able to again adapt rather, if you can swim rather than sink, sure. But problem is most people can't, and you have to know yourself what you're capable of.
So are we catering to most people, or are we catering to, a
I don't
minority
think
of
most
people?
people. I don't think most people can swim. I think most people would sink.
That's fair enough.
Most people are not mentally capable or prepared through life to really take on adapting situation on changing scenarios.
Okay. So what's stopping them from attempting to improve themselves, to expand their range?
Trauma, uncomfortable situations,
Oh, hey, cool.
horrific events.
I'm not
Just
gonna
stuff like that.
I'm not gonna say those are invalid, but I'm gonna say they're just excuses. If you're gonna
They're
let
not
yourself
excuses.
if you're gonna let yourself be taken down by failure, then you're not ready to succeed. I'm gonna just say that flat out. You are not ready to succeed. There's nobody in this world that I know that has gone anywhere in their life without failing more than once. Challenge me on that.
No, I'm not. I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing with
That's
you.
why I'm challenging people in general to push themselves. Fake it till you make it. Even if you fail, you just got job experience. You got your foot in the door, you know what it requires, and now you're one step closer regardless.
What's the name of that one billionaire investor that plays the stock market a lot?
Nobody cares. Nobody knows.
No, you do know. Everybody knows his freaking name. I just can't
Rush
remember it.
Limbaugh.
Rush Limbaugh. There you go.
Was I right?
He's
Nice.
yeah.
All right, cool.
We're taking Denny to trivia.
Maybe I do care.
Rush Limbaugh said that he will never invest in a business of someone who has not failed to start two businesses in the past. Reason why is because if you don't fail at starting a business, when you do try it the third time around, you after failing twice, you know what not to do essentially for the third time around. That's his mentality.
It's also knowing how to fail. There's a difference between failing and you're crashing and burning. But if you know how to fail, you'll recover because clearly you failed a couple of times and look where you are now.
Well, yeah, that's why I think that's intended with him is that you fail a couple of times, you learn from your mistakes, and you come back, and essentially you're back in the game better than before. So I agree with you. Yeah, failure is a cycle of life. I feel like there's a big taboo around it that people kind of, especially I feel like for a lot of people with their parents, they're like, you shouldn't fail. You need to go do this because failure is the most possible worst case scenario for you to experience because then your life's over. That's not how it is. Failure will happen. It's fine. It's just like how Family Guy used to tell people, or well, anybody honestly, if you fall down 9 times, get up 10 times. You have to keep pushing, no matter how hard it gets. A lot of people also don't like the aspect of you have to spend money to make money. A lot of people value wealth extensively to the point that they don't want to invest in themselves a lot of time. For me, as an example, I'm not wealthy, but for my work, my business, I spend money, as of currently, a lot of money on trying to get myself set up, and it's tough because you're burning money left and right on, your goals, and you're hoping that down the line it kind of pays off, that all this hard work essentially manifests into something. But you're also taking risks of maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be all for nothing. That's where, you set yourself apart from everybody else. And people will always tell you, yeah, you're stupid, you're wrong, you're wasting your time, you're risking too much, you're going to fail, what are you doing? You have to learn to kind of block that out within reason and really just believe in your own self at that point.
You know what I find you know what I find very interesting is how many phrases in the lexicon of the I'm gonna say this one more time because I can't even speak of ironically lexicon is about words. There are a lot of phrases in our language that have to do exactly with failure and success. And we'll touch base on that after this commercial break. I flubbed that pretty bad. I failed that. That was a failure. So I'll learn from that experience, and next time I'll do a better cutaway into our commercial. Promise you that. So here we are. We'll be right back. Does This Offend You is absolutely, definitely, and undoubtedly brought to you by this 100% totally real sponsor. Reese's Big Cup Potato Chips. Because some people can't handle snacking their sweets and their salts at the same time. So we mash them together. So I actually haven't tried these yet, but I think the fact that they exist is just violently American, and I love it. Because it's way too hard to have to open up a pack of Reese's and then open up a bag of chips. It's too much. I just don't have the time. So thank you, Reese's, for stuffing my potato chips into a peanut buttery chocolate delicious treat. Now I can eat my potato chips and my Reese's at the same time. There are exactly 1.86 potato chips in this cup. Because it's really fucking tiny, and I don't know why they decided to waste all that precious space.
That is exactly how many potato chips I need to feel satiated.
It's wonderful, isn't it? Don't catch yourself...
Wonderful.
I don't even know what I said. Don't find yourself looking down the chip aisle ever again. Just head right to the candy department, pick yourself up some Reese's Potato Chips Big Cups. This really hurts me that this has to be a thing. Like, who at Reese's, just like they show up to work one day like, you know what? I got this idea. Think about this, right? How do we get people to get even fatter and faster? We're not doing it good enough. It's not good enough that we put a bunch of peanut butter and just wrapped it in chocolate. Let's stuff the fucking potato chips in it, because it's just way too fucking difficult to get the potato chips. And I don't even know. It's not for taste. It's definitely not for taste. This is just some fucking like science experiment. It has nothing to do with actual like flavor.
So was that an ad?
I don't know what that was. It was a trigger, is what it was. The thing is, I bought it and I want to eat it, and I'm just really upset with myself, I think, is what it is. It's my fault for buying it and buying into the bullshit, because I don't know what kind of fucking 420 stoner they have working over at Reese's or Hershey's, but whoever came up with this was just not sound of mind, or
His name's Dad.
They're really freaking hungry and just like mashed it all together. It's not going to go well. I'll come back maybe like 3 or 4 podcasts from now. I'll tell you how it went. Or you can try it yourselves. But, hey, Reese's, give us that endorsement. So.
More like a lawsuit.
Yeah, more. That wasn't slander. That was just the truth.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, you're making people fatter.
Oh, my God.
Never going to backfire.
Hyper inject diabetes and sodium intake at the same time.
Hey, another idiom. There's no such thing as bad publicity, all right?
Yeah, I like that. That's good. Yeah, it's true. That's kind of why, like, kind of the hopes for this podcast is there's no such thing as...
Unless you're the Kardashians.
No. Oh, my God.
Nope,
are you serious?
They're still richer than you, bitch.
Oh, my God. They thrive on publicity. They have done nothing with their lives.
Mel Gibson's bad publicity.
You know how much Passion of the Christ... Like how much
I know how much it made.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything, but he also has the religious movement behind it, so it's kind of a different story in that regard. And
that's all publicity. He garnered a lot of attention for his stance on whatever it was. Was it Jews? Yeah, he just that's very true. Yeah, people like what's polarizing. That's what's super hot. Hot takes are hot. Yeah, go figure. Okay, so thank you. That was a good phrase. There's no such thing as bad publicity. That's honestly the MO of this podcast. We love that. Please slander us. Please say something about us. Anything. I don't care. Get the news out. Share, like, subscribe. Yeah.
Comment on Danny's big nose. It's the most important part.
Oh my god. Okay, we have officially derailed. So, failure and success. I think there are, of all the phrases in the human lexicon, most of them have to do with
Why do you
failure
gotta talk about Mexicans
and
like that?
success.
They're Mexicans, okay? Not Lex. This guy's I'm sorry, Danny.
Dude, not as sorry as I am, and not as sorry as Vlad's gonna be. If you don't see him on the next podcast, you know why. So, yeah, so it was interesting earlier, Omid, when you mentioned know your limitations, but then there's also other phrases that exist that say never give up. And they're conflicting ideologies. Am I correct in saying that?
No, I agree with you.
Yeah. I find that very interesting, that we have a lot of phrases that are always set to defend whatever we believe in. That, like, which one's the truth, honestly? What is any one of them the right one to believe in? If we're like,
it's context specific, man.
Do you believe in Jesus?
Well, it can be context specific, but I don't. But it can be context specific. But also, there has to be like, why isn't there a phrase that fits everything you do in life? Like, what drives you? Why? Like, who's gonna say know your limitations? Like, why would you ever do that to yourself? Is my question. I have no idea.
You live every day, but you die only once.
Yeah, you only live once. YOLO is a huge thing.
No. You live every day, but you only die once.
What does that have to do with failure and success?
That means that, well, you live every single day, so do stuff, but be careful because you only die once.
Okay.
It's off topic. You can go on, Danny.
No, I can see how it's tied in. So yeah, you die once because people who don't know their limitations die. But anything worthwhile in this life goes beyond limitations. I don't like how that phrase exists and people use it when they want to make people feel. I think all it exists to do is to make people feel better. It doesn't actually help.
I think I've definitely seen some things where people have their limitations, and it's important that when you test your limitations, that you've actually worked your way up to be able to achieve them. Like, you can't just randomly be like, I am gonna go to apply to this job and I'm gonna get it. I'm not gonna apply to become a heart surgeon and get it immediately. I'm gonna have to go through some steps before I get there. Now, never give up on my goals to be a heart surgeon is one thing, but knowing my limitations, maybe at this moment I am not ready to be a heart surgeon, and I'm sure every patient that comes to that door and hears my resume, the true one, oh yeah, this guy went to community college for a couple of years or something like that, boom, let him cut me open. No, know your limitations. I mean, it's hard to say, but like, let's say my limit, I want to play in the NBA. Right now, not gonna happen if I go try out. But if I want to, then I have to keep working my ass off. Then it becomes a determinant of, am I wasting my time or am I making the most of my time? Right? I think it's all about utilization of your resources and being completely aware. One of my favorite quotes that comes from Louis C.K. is, self-love is important, but self-awareness is importanter.
I like that. It's a good one.
Yeah, I made up the last word because I thought it would make it a little more fun. But yeah, self-awareness is more important. You love yourself, but also know that there's always room for improvement. Know that you know where your limitations are, know who you are as a person, and work on that.
I just don't believe that anybody who did anything worthwhile in history, like really the big names that stand out to you, has ever lived by that phrase. Like, tell me how Kobe Bryant would feel if you said that to his face. Like, know your limitations.
You're a bitch.
Yeah. Like, the Mamba mentality is a real thing. It existed before the Black Mamba.
What?
It's about working hard and fuck your limitations. That is what the code you live by.
I think that it's a bit more complex than just that. First off, limitations are a real thing. If your legs don't work, don't expect to be a freaking, sprinter. The point is that you have limitations. The thing is that most people don't want to focus on in their life when they're building something is consistency. You know how they say practice makes perfect? No. I feel like that's not true. I think that practice makes better. I think you need to be able to try and attempt what it is you're attempting a numerous amount of times and consistently keep trying, because you can't like try 2 times a day and then like take a break for a week and then try to come back to it. You have to try every day and try it multiple times. And every time you fail, you got to understand why you failed and try to adjust your technique to not make the same routine mistake again and get better as to why practice makes better, not perfect. You only get perfect by consistency. Like, as you said, all these guys, Michael Jordan playing basketball, he wasn't very good at the beginning of his career. In high school, he was not good at all. He screwed up a lot. But he kept pushing. And he got better and better and better. Kobe Bryant, he was a good player, but he was Michael Jordan when he started off. He came in, he watched Michael Jordan, he tried to learn his moves, he tried to get better at them. In some ways, he surpassed them. LeBron James, as much as I literally can't stand the guy, he has his own records. I still don't think that he has a consistency level when compared to Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, but I mean, he's still a good player, like him or not. And it's just, again, it's about how much you push yourself and how much you keep doing it. I know a lot of people who talk a lot of a game. Danny and I know a couple of people like that who like to always pat themselves on the back over doing the most minute little things. And, they feel like they've made some sort of huge accomplishment, but the next day they just kind of let it flow by because they don't keep pushing it. There's no real play. So, yeah, consistency is necessary. That's the way to get perfect. But practice makes better.
Right. And I want to touch on something that Danny said, where he mentioned, what if someone asked Kobe, like, told him to know his limitations? You could argue that Kobe knew his limitations more than anybody else, and he knew that he could keep pushing them. And I think that's what made him the most impressive, because he knew this isn't it for me, and he kept going, and that was greatness.
I feel like most people know that that what they currently have isn't it for them. It's just some people don't want to push.
Right. But as good and as talented as Kobe was, when someone said know your limitations, we're not talking the guy that's was like, I'm done. We're talking about the best player on the team, the oldest player on the team, the most veteran, experienced player on the team, was still consistently the first one in the gym, last one out. He was the epitome of that phrase. He was the one that yelled at the younger guys, "Where were you? I've been here for an hour before you got here. What, you're done already? I'm still gonna be here." That's how he made himself the best, because not only did he know his limitations, but he pushed them. Like you said, practice makes better. So he practiced. He got better and better.
Yeah. Which I'm not arguing with. Like I said, you just have to, like I said, it's more of an aspect of adjusting your scenario to appropriate means and knowing where to push. The issue is, for me, like I said, some people just, I think that for me personally, I think everyone is capable of achieving more. I just don't think most people will. I don't think that most people have the drive. I have people that I know in my life who unfortunately like to live very basic lifestyles. They don't really have much of a strive for greatness in their mind. They're kind of like, yeah, I'm okay with making a little bit of money, just enough to get by, having a roof over my head, and like maybe taking a couple of vacations a year. Like, that's all that they're happy with. And I think that's really sad. But
I think that's noble. I don't judge.
I think that's sad.
I still don't believe that knowing your limits has any sort of positive connotation. And on that Kobe Bryant thing, by the way, if we're gonna keep using him as an example, in 2000 when Vince Carter was on a tear on the league, have you heard the story where he twisted his back? Are you familiar with this one? Because I know you're a fan of basketball. But in 2000, Vince Carter came into the league and was just tearing shit up. Kobe Bryant was set to have his first match against Vince Carter, and they needed him on the Lakers. And the guy twisted his back, and everyone they were gonna rest him. Doctor said, "Don't go do it." Coach was like, "Okay, we have to bench you." And Kobe was like, "I gotta go and play." What kind of limitations do you think he set on himself with a twisted back? Like in that
he can end his career
in that moment,
way.
in that moment. Yeah, but he chose not to, and that's why I don't like the freaking phrase. I don't think there's any good way to see it, because Omid said it himself. He's like, yeah, he knew his limitations, but then he pushed past them. So I think the phrase like always, whatever, I don't know, what phrase can you insert that trumps
okay,
that? Like he always pushed past his limitations.
Let me push back on that then. What about someone like Derrick Rose, who was gonna not be on a super team and take out LeBron James and his big three on the Heat? They were slated to do so. And what happened? He shattered his ankles or his knees. I don't know which ones came first. But the guy was hurt. Maybe he should have known his limitations. That would have been very important. But hey, hindsight's 2020, right? But at the same time, no, Kobe was amazing for what he accomplished, but no one is saying it was wise to do so. A lot of that was driven by ego as well, right? Let's not go beyond that. And his ego was the most important thing to him, and it got him to where he is. Not the ground, but his success. But yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Aside from the ego and the ground part, like I said, I think that with what Danny said in regards to his twisted back situation, he made a call. He weighed his options, and he felt like risking his career on the line for the chance to play against the guy who's supposedly really good was worthwhile. That's not wise. He could have literally, that could have been his last game, his career could have been over, and he could have been washed up. It didn't happen. He knew how to play it. The guy isn't dumb. Respect to him. Does that mean that everybody should do that, or that's a wise move? God, no. If you ask somebody like Floyd Mayweather, one of the most successful boxers in the world, even though he fights like shit, he tells anybody that health is wealth. So for him, his health is above any amount of money in the world. The guy only goes according to his body's functionality with what he does. His hype about him being undefeated, this and that, it's like, cool, dude. He picks and chooses his battles accordingly, and he hasn't really done much in regards to many knockouts in recent years. He's a technical fighter. You have to give him as a technical fighter, he is good, but he also, he doesn't try to push his limitations with trying to actually put on a good show of putting people down on the ground and knocking them out. He used to when he was younger, but now he's just more there for the payday. And again, he controls his fights. He chooses who he wants. It's not like back in the day where guys like Muhammad Ali or somebody who came out and said, I will fight anybody who wants to, and literally called out the whole world.
I respect that guy, that mentality over Mayweather's. Mayweather's tactical, sure.
Yeah, he's picking and choosing his fights.
But being tactical isn't really a call to greatness.
He's undefeated, and he's a great shit talker.
Yeah, but undefeated with an asterisk. How many of those fights do you think were worthy opponents, or he picked and chooses opponents? Which guy do you respect more? Muhammad Ali, who would fight a fucking bear?
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The guy who would fight a literal bear, or Floyd Mayweather, who's just this is Tommy, 12 years old from Camp Middle School in Florida, or something like.
Okay, he's not like that, but the point being,
let me take Manny Pacquiao on the end of his career.
Yeah, exactly.
Beat the shit out of him. Let me take this other.
Well, he didn't beat the shit out of Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao and him fought just. Mayweather kept dodging him most of the fight. He kept running away.
Sorry, let me win on a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think history always recognizes people who pushed for greatness rather than people who were knew their limits and were smart with them, which is there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't really, I think the greater mentality resides in never give up, or I don't know, insert phrase here, nothing is impossible, etc., which is also a bullshit phrase. Can we jump? Is it okay if we change topics a little bit? Or are you guys?
It goes along with know your limitations.
Yeah,
I feel like you went down a rabbit hole of a lot of memes, or sorry, not memes, but quotes on that.
Yeah, isn't that what this episode's about? It's about rabbit holes and phrases and other phrases within those phrases. Contradictions.
Yeah, you definitely picked a lot that contradict each other. You should have a column of pros and cons for all the ones that you have.
All right. Well, if I were to contradict myself, not just the phrasing. But
Oh.
nothing is impossible is just such a bullshit phrase. As much as I like the idea, the real phrase should be called "nothing is implausible." Like, because impossible things are like I can't exist in more than one place at a time. It's like an old philosophical debate. If I clone myself and put two of me in a room, it wouldn't be me in two separate places. It would be me and a thing called a Danny clone in two separate places. So
What if I got a saw, cut you in half, put half your body in one room, half your body in another room?
So that would be a dead piece of Danny in one room and a dead piece of Danny in the other.
But it would be you.
It'd be half of me. The Danny that exists in front of you cannot exist in more than one place at one time in the physical.
What if you just cut your thumb
in
off
the physical world?
walk
Then my
together?
thumb would be somewhere, not Danny, not this guy, thumbs included. But also, like, you name it. There are like literal impossibilities, like logistically, that exists in the universe, and until they're broken and explode people's heads, they exist. And so nothing is impossible is not a phrase to live by. Like, there's implausibility is the highest of reaches you can go, which is like saying that, like, I can't go to space like right now. Like, I could try. Maybe by the time I'm like 70, I can build my own rocket ship or something, but the fact it's really implausible that I'll do it, but it is in the realm of possibility. But saying that I can create a sun or something like Doc Ock used to do it in the comic book universe.
I was about to say, like, yeah, you can make a child, Danny.
Like, yeah, no, like the actual.
You can have a son.
Like, if I were to composite, like, whatever, like all the gases and the hydrogen. No, I'm not. But all the hydrogen, all the shit, and it's really hard to think of what is impossible. But there are things that just, like, they can't possibly happen. I don't know. Like, is that true?
Danny having offspring, apparently. Yeah.
No, I can't create the sun. I can have a son, even though everyone around me is having daughters for some reason. Conspiracy.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
It's because your Y gene is weak as fuck.
I don't know. I think it's impossible for me to be omnipotent, like basically become a god. Jeff Bezos is the closest thing we have to that because he has information on everybody, but he's not totally omnipotent. That's an impossibility. I don't know. So I don't like that phrase too much. It's a great phrase. It's flawed. That's all.
I think you're flawed.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what if, I don't know how much time we have left, but what if I chose another quote
Sure.
that has nothing to do with success?
Good.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I'm going to let you guys duke it out because I have it written down somewhere. I just don't remember where. I think I know where to look, though.
Okay. Go for it.
Yeah. But, I mean, until then, don't judge a book by its cover. I think we can all agree was the original quote that we came up with. And again, that one too is, it's under debate.
We're
I think
debating
it mostly
it.
depends on how safe you're trying to be, right?
Sure. Every phrase comes with interpretation. I think that's what we learned from this episode. Everybody here looks at a phrase differently and uses it contextually, like you said.
I think you guys all just suck.
Yeah. So, like, saying that someone sucks is completely subjective.
Well, isn't that the beauty of it? Like, sometimes you don't even have to, like, judge books by their cover. You can always just have a default judgment on people, which is good or evil. And
I just
then
think you
move
have a
forward.
soft view of people.
I have a soft view of people. I'm optimistic about people. That's another way to put it. But hey, you can spin it however you like.
Yeah. Gang gang. Do better.
Do better.
Yeah.
That's too much work. I'd rather just have faith in some people and let them disappoint me.
Okay.
It makes,
Yeah, see, that's the problem is you let yourself be disappointed. I don't. Fuck that shit. Throw them
well,
under the
you gotta
train.
drop your expectations on people and what they're capable of. Like, I don't have expectations of people, but I give them the benefit of the doubt at all times, if that makes sense. Like, I'm on my guard, but I'm also not gonna automatically be
Do
like,
you really trust
that's
Danny?
a fucker,
Think
that's
about
a
that.
fucker. Well, I mean, the guy wears tank tops every day.
What does that have
Sounds
to
like a dangerous play.
Hey, man, dress for
You shut your mouth.
the job you want. I want this job. So I'm going to wear tank tops all the time.
I'm not sure what tank tops have to do with podcasts, but sure.
I mean, I can wear whatever I want on a podcast. I can wear nothing on a podcast. It's my podcast.
You won't.
I don't care.
You won't.
I'll take the shirt off right now if you want me to, and I'm not even wearing
No,
pants.
please, God,
you want me to
no.
stand up?
Okay.
I'm literally not wearing pants. This is like the beauty of this setup. I'm not wearing pants right now. I'll get up. I'll show
Alright.
everybody.
You guys ready for this one? I found it.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
All right. The quote is, "When you lose your money, you lose nothing. When you lose your health, you lose something. When you lose your character, you lose everything."
Yeah. I wouldn't call money nothing, but character is everything, I think.
It's relative. It's relative.
Sure.
You can lose your money, you're still here. They say, at least you still have your health, right? But when they say you lose your health, you say you lost something. What did you lose? Your life force. You lost lost maybe some days. That's something tangible in your life that you probably can never buy back. When you lose your character, this is an important one to me because I also know that in some religious texts, they even consider talking shit about someone or, destroying their character almost equivalent to murder. And why is that? It's because we in our lives work really hard to cultivate this impression of ourselves onto other people, of our own identities. And when somebody from the outside comes and ruins that and basically tears down that identity that you've built, they've pretty much torn down who you are. You're
No way.
What?
So no way.
Yeah. So I think this is a very impressive quote. Now, is this a quote that anybody here would like to push back on? Do they?
Well, what if your health is fixable through money? What if you broke your arm and, to fix your arm, you have to go to the doctor or to the hospital and you can pay for it to have it fixed and your health's back?
Are you trading your money, which is worthless, for your health, which is worth something to you?
Well, yeah, like I said, if your
Boom,
health...
roasted. Next, Danny, go.
You put me on the spot. Juice. Oh, canceled. So, no.
No, but really,
Yeah.
honestly, if your health is in jeopardy and you have a means to fix your health, which is, let's say it's guaranteed to fix your health, but it costs a lot of money, you don't have money.
Okay, that's fine. But, if someone says, I'm going to burn this a pile of $1,000 in front of you, or I'm going to chop your pinky toe off,
Take the toe, bro. Go ahead. Whatever,
Exactly.
it's a pinky toe.
There you
Nobody
go.
wants that.
But you see, they take your toe, you lost something, but at any moment, that money, it could be in your possession, it could not be in your possession. It's essentially worthless. It is
So is
not
your pinky toe.
you. Your pinky toe is not worthless, as a matter of fact. It is scientifically proven to, be important in balance of a human being. Every toe that you have is there because it helps you balance for your unique body shape.
From what I've been able to read, supposedly we don't really need the pinky toe. It has no real value or function at this point in time.
Well, it could be
It
worth
has a
$1,000
function.
in this hypothetical.
Right.
So maybe somebody wants that $1,000. They need it way more than a pinky toe in their lives. I don't
Basically,
know.
if anybody here has $1,000, Vlad will accept it for his pinky toe. He will chop it off for you.
Tell us in the comments below if you want Vlad's pinky toe. We'll run a raffle.
It's called an auction.
Let's put Vlad's Venmo at the end of this video so that they can scan it and
I don't
pay him.
have Venmo. I'm sorry. I'm not that ratchet.
Says the type of person that would rather lose a body part than have
Money's money. $20 is $20.
I do agree that the character is the most important part to anybody. Not their possessions, not their physical body.
That's the most interesting part.
But
Well, that's your
what makes
legacy.
what makes a person is their character, the soul, if you will, the soul of a person. If you can break down anyone's lives to materials, physical body, and the third being your soul, which is character,
Yeah.
whatever.
Your character is essentially your life's work. It's who you've built everything around. It is who people are going to remember you as. Everything you've done on this earth is all encompassed in that character. And all it takes is just one piece of shit to say something bad, and they can ruin your character, and that becomes reputation. Whether they want to label you as a pedophile, they want to label you as lazy, they want to label you as someone that steals, like a thief. You can easily destroy someone's character even though they've lived probably one of the most noble lives. And it's impressive how fragile that is with a body part, with money. All these things are equal. You could lose all of them just as easily as the next.
Yeah, I mean, some might say there's a trade-off too. Like a lot of people with the money lose their character. It's like you're selling pieces
How
of
many people
yourself.
spend their money to build a fake character? Look at any CEO in the world. What do you think PR is?
Yeah, PR. Well, PR is just building like just a story. It's fake.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the
PR
book.
is
Yeah.
manipulation of the people. PR is basically saying, hey, you're a piece of shit and everyone knows it, but let's spin that, right? Let's say we donate to this cause, right? Even though us making these donations is going to be a tax write-off. But let's play it up. That's PR. Why? Because character is more important than money. If character wasn't important, you wouldn't have spent that money. You know, you can even argue that that character is also your ticket to making more money, because if people think you're some noble company, they'll be like, oh, I'd rather give them my money than this one.
Well, I also think characters like important to, in spite of health. Like imagine you deal with some things that are debilitating. You need to keep like a good head on your shoulders to survive that. There's so many. We were talking about depression earlier, right? And we also made comments about somebody who doesn't have their legs. All right, I imagine those things go hand in hand. You know, some guy loses their legs. It's a paraplegic joke, but I'm cha.
Yeah.
So, yeah, imagine. Jesus Christ. I imagine those things. I imagine those things go leg in leg. So if somebody loses a literal piece of themselves, physical piece of themselves, like what keeps somebody afloat in life? Because there's so much that comes with it when you lose a piece of yourself. It's not just the physical aspect. And then you know, if we're talking about America, yeah, you're about to lose a ton of money too. that's what follows. So what carries you through all that? And that's you. That's your character. So some people succumb to the pressure and the burden of what life gives them, and some people just like, oh goddamn, just like these phrases. Some people do not accept the limitations and they continue to push forward. Right?
Right.
The hypothetical
Have you
man with no
guys-
legs and no money somehow finds a way to get it done.
Have you guys ever watched a TV show or a movie about some spy or something who gets captured, and to torture them, they start removing limbs, and for some reason, these spies or whatever would rather lose their limbs than to be a traitor,
Yeah.
right? How wild or realistic is that? I always think to myself, what if I was in that position? Do I really give that much shit about America and Americans altogether that if someone threatened to take away my thumb, I'd be like, fuck that. These are the codes. Blow them up. Please let me keep my thumb. You don't know until you're in that situation. They probably tortured you so much before the limb cutting started coming into play. Maybe they already cut off a few of your limbs and your thumb is just another one. How many limbs does it take before you're just like, you know what? This is where the president's hiding. Go get him.
So, question with regards to character. I'm sure that we've all had those encounters in our life where you meet different people and they might say, "Oh, this is like the best person ever, super sweet, super supportive, great person." Then you might meet another person who says that guy's a total piece of shit and absolute backstabber, shouldn't trust them. Da da da. If somebody were to tell me these things, I would say, yeah, you should believe both of them because both are true. You get a version of me depending on your behavior and your personality. Do you think that's a proper thing to have? Do you think that's a respectable mentality to observe?
What do you mean? What mentality?
I'm saying that, let's say, I meet one person who says, your character development with certain people might be like, oh yeah, he's a really good guy, very sweet, very supportive, overall wonderful person. But then another group of people might be like, oh yeah, he's a total piece of shit, total asshole. So we were talking about how
I
characteristics.
think, yeah, credibility and context are very important in this situation as well. Who's giving what feedback? If I know a lot of people that talk out their ass, I know some people that compliment everybody and everything, and I'm like, your compliments mean nothing to me. Let's say somebody that is always judgy and complaining and talking shit. Their complaints don't mean shit to me. Now, if they have an actual story to back up what they're saying, now we're getting somewhere. Like, what did they do to you? What was the context? What were they going through at the time? What was the visceral?
I'm not delving that far in.
Okay.
I'm simply asking you again, like I said.
Yeah, you
We're
take.
talking about characteristics, and one of the like I said, you have one group of people say, "Yeah, this is a great person." The other group might say that you're a total piece of shit. And we're talking about how character needs to be, destroying someone's character behind their back or whatever is a horrible thing. My response to that sort of thing, if I was to be told this by somebody who I'm not saying, yeah, this person said you're a great person, that person says you're a piece of shit. My response would be like, good, believe both of them. You get a version of me accordingly.
Yeah, I say don't judge a book by what other people told you about the book.
Wow. I think you're always going to be the bad guy in someone else's story, no matter what you do.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. You always
think
want to
that's
be
a
the
fine
bad
thing.
guy. A man without enemies never stood for anything.
Yeah.
Think about
There
that.
you go. That's another phrase.
It's a big one.
Another
It's a good
idiom.
one. There you go.
Goddamn.
Our lives revolve around them.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that one mean? It means, you can be a person that's liked by everybody. Yeah, I like every type of music. Yeah, I like all types of food. Yeah, I like all types of things and people, whatever. You're a people pleaser. You just want everyone to feel welcome and happy. Fine. What is that going to get you, though? It's usually the people that stood for something, that represent something, that became polarizing, that ended up making something of themselves. It's important to also root for yourself. And one of my favorite examples is someone who talks crap about LeBron James. I don't like LeBron James. I respect LeBron James because he's very good. And a lot of people that say LeBron James is a bitch, LeBron James is this. Objectively, we know that isn't true. Everyone only says that because another great idiom is hate them because they ain't them. You hate them because you're not them. You hate them because they're better than you. You hate them because you fear them. You fear them because you acknowledge that they are really fucking good at what they do, and it threatens you. That it should be everyone's goal. Be so good at something that people hate you for it.
Oh, yeah. The haters make me famous, right? It's another relative phase. It's because people just project their own disappointments upon others. Like, they're not them, and they'll never be them because they don't, honestly, because they're failures in their own right and don't want to use that failure to succeed. Back to that old phrase.
Jealousy.
Jealousy.
Envy.
At its base, complete jealousy. Yeah, of course. So what do you think, boys? Have we had enough phrases for one day? I'm sure there are millions more.
Easily.
Yeah. So, okay, if that's all for today, then I will refer you all to one more common expression or phrase, and that is this. That's all, folks. Yep. Somewhere we just got sued by Warner Brothers. So if you don't see us next week, you know what happened. So that being said, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment below telling us your favorite common expression or idiom. I know you have some. We'd love to hear it. So that will do it for today's episode of Does This Offend You? That is Vlad. That is Omid. I am Danny. And next week, we talk about killer hamsters being sent through the mail by Ugandans. Find out more. See you next week.
Thanks.